This podcast was made possible by our generous patrons. In particular, we want to thank Matt Patane, Amy Austin, Joseph Stowell, Kat Mosseri, Joshua K. Ward, Mix and Match, Arno Teva, Gander, and Osarion. Some of these are nicknames, obviously, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name. As a patron, you can get early access to our episodes, longer versions of the podcast, ebooks, extended versions of our audiobooks and audio dramas, and other rewards. If you're interested in supporting us, visit patreon.com/audioepics, one word. You can support us and get rewards from as little as $1 a month. Hello and welcome to the Audio Epics podcast. There's a dog barking outside. I hope he doesn't bother you. Last time, we did an episode on character names in storytelling. So, this time, we had a crazy idea, didn't we, Eline?
Yeah, we thought, what if we did an episode on titles in storytelling?
Yeah, because it's sort of it's a nice sort of continuation of the same theme.
And it is kind of important. A title is usually it's something that draws me in. If I have to pick a book, title is very important to me. If the title sucks or if it doesn't say anything, I won't read the book.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I thought we could start with a little game. I made a list here of a few titles of movies and books. And I'll just
Are they books that I've read? Movies I've watched?
No. So I don't think so.
Okay.
So I'll just give you the title. And the idea is that you have to guess what the story is about.
Okay.
Or what the book or movie is about.
Okay. Let's have it.
The first one is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. That's a movie.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Is it a science fiction movie about a UFO or something? That makes a lot of noise.
UFO that makes a lot of noise. Okay, I'll give you the synopsis from IMDb. A 9-year-old amateur inventor, Francophile and pacifist searches New York City for the lock that matches a mysterious key left behind by his father, who died in the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001. How could you not guess that?
Whoa, it's like a 9/11 adventure movie?
Yeah, and it seems like it's a kind of funny as well.
See, the synopsis makes me curious, but the title really sucks.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
I wouldn't watch it.
Actually,
it's called Extremely Loud.
Yeah, I do have to say, I do think it's a fascinating title. It kind of makes me curious.
Who wants something that is extremely loud and incredibly close? I don't want that.
No, of course not. But
especially
to me,
not in a movie.
It sounds like it's a movie about a car crash or something, you know?
Yeah, or like a band. A band of drummers or something.
Okay, next title. This is a book. It's quite a popular book, actually, so maybe you've heard of it.
Okay.
A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yeah, that rings a bell, but I don't know what it is about. So, is it something like a fantasy novel, YA sort of thing?
Yeah, you're onto something there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about everything.
Any more vibe you get from it?
I do get a bit of a YA vibe with a female teenagey character.
Yeah, so this is a book written by Sarah J. Maas, and it's described as a fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast with some erotic elements.
Yay!
So, I guess you were pretty close.
Good title then, because,
Okay, so this is a movie, Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball? Could be an animation. Could be a cool animation.
Yeah, like Hotel Transylvania, something like that. Yeah.
Or a like a horror comedy or something?
Yeah, I thought so too, but it's actually a drama. The synopsis is: after a family tragedy, a racist prison guard re-examines his attitudes while falling in love with the African-American wife of the last prisoner he executed.
Wow. I really wanted to see a movie about a ball, with monsters. What a bummer.
Okay, next one is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It Could Happen to You.
It could happen to you. That could be a horror movie, but I think it's a romantic comedy or something. It's kind of vague. A lot of romantic comedies have these vague titles.
It is a romantic comedy. This is a synopsis. Because he can't pay her tip, a police officer promises a waitress if he wins the lottery, he'll share it with her. Then he wins the lottery.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, okay.
And then this book, Force and Destiny.
Force and Destiny. Is it like a Jane Austen book, like Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility?
No.
Force and Destiny.
It's a book that we have on our shelf, actually.
Really? Oh, I should look at the shelves more often, or clean them more often. Possibly.
It's a Star Wars role-playing game rule book
right.
about Jedi.
That.
Yeah.
Force. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Okay,
that
so
cool.
Yeah, that was
Cool
fun.
Game. So you kind of illustrated that the title can say a lot about a story, and
or not.
Or not, and that it can be explicit or cryptic. More like non-explicit, explicit like snakes on a plane. That's very explicit.
Yeah, I always thought that was a very funny title.
Those are things that don't need much explanation, like Star Wars. That's also very clear. Ice Age or Toy Story.
Yeah. But I have to say about Snakes on a Plane, I just realized if the movie were called Snakes on the Plane, it wouldn't have been funny. It's because it's snakes on a plane that it's funny.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this is a movie about snakes on a plane.
Yeah, it's like,
you got this plane.
This is
and
the gist. So like
a bunch of snakes on it. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Like a story about a bunch of toys. So I guess the difference is that when a title is more cryptic, it raises questions about the story, and it makes you wonder what it's about. And it could work if it kind of gets you curious and makes you want to watch it. But if it doesn't make you curious, then you're royally screwed, basically.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. What is a cryptic title? Something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, perhaps.
Yeah. You wouldn't guess what it's about
No,
based
not at
on the
all.
title.
But I would guess that it's something artsy.
But the title does say something about what the story is about. If you watch the movie, you understand why it has that title.
Usually you do understand what the title is about if you've watched the movie. If you don't, then maybe,
There are some titles where it's like the movie The Lovely Bones. Well, that was a book first.
Mm-hmm.
You might wonder, The Lovely Bones. There are no lovely bones in the movie, but the title is mentioned somewhere at the end of the movie. But that's a very vague one as well.
Yeah. So we kind of drew up a number of categories. 6 categories. 7. We came up with 7 categories.
Whoa,
yeah, as Keanu Reeves would say. And the first one is the name of the main character, which is kind of obvious.
Yeah, but within that category, you have different sort of approaches.
Yeah, subcategories.
So we added to the list Meet Joe Black. I know it's not Joe Black, it's Meet Joe Black, but close enough, right?
Yeah, but it's cool. It makes you kind of look forward to meeting him.
Yeah, that's true. Especially once you know it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and he's kind of dead, so
And then, of course, you've got Jerry Maguire, Harry Potter, and something. Alex and Emma, Tom and Jerry. Yeah, you can have duos, of course. Austin Powers, Ace Ventura, Indiana Jones, Sherlock Holmes, James Bond. Oh, Robin Hood. That's another one.
Yeah, Robin Hood. And you got it in books too, like Eline, a very popular book. I don't know if it's popular, but it's famous in Flanders. And a lot of people say my name is based on it, but I hope not, because it's kind of about a very depressed rich girl who is kind of annoying and commits suicide, I think, at the end. I never read it.
It's a Belgian book, so probably. They're all like that. So.
I've had it for years because, yeah, it was a gift, and then I never read it.
Of course, when you just use the name of the main character as the title of your movie, it might, not say enough about the character.
Yeah, and about the
story. Yeah.
I had that problem with Harry Potter. There was this girl in my class who was really, really excited about the books, and she just kept going on and on about it. Oh, you should read Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. And I was like, Harry Potter? What's that? I don't want to read a book.
It's not a cool name
called
either.
Harry Potter? What? And also, Potter is a perfectly normal name in UK, but in Flanders, it's like an insult to some. So I didn't want to read it, but then when I finally started on the books, I couldn't put them down. So yeah. Of course, you don't need to use the actual name. You can use a nickname or a kind of group name, like in Man of Steel, which is just another way of saying Superman. The Dark Knight, the Avengers, the Justice League, Guardians of the Galaxy, etc. So that is very often done with superheroes. And
yeah, since all your examples were superheroes.
Yeah, and Brandy S does it too in his modern superhero story. Steelheart, Firefight, Mitosis, Calamity.
Is Mitosis the name of a superhero?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Also, yeah. They're all superheroes. Then, yeah.
And then, you've got maybe something like a word or a very concise thing that sort of describes the main character of the main group of characters, like the Magnificent Seven, Outlander, the Book Thief, the Hobbit, the Martian, etc.
You also have names that go for more characters than just the hero. It kind of makes you think after you've watched the movie or read the book. For example, the Lion King, which could be Simba, who is going to become the Lion King, or it could be Mufasa, who is the Lion King. And then you have the Giver, but then Jonas becomes the Giver, so there are actually then two people who could be called the Giver. So especially in stories of succession, it's kind of double than the title.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. And then, of course, you could have a title that is really just the villain instead of the hero. Like The Lord of the Rings is actually Sauron.
Yeah, or Poltergeist.
Right, yeah.
And there must be examples of other characters.
Dracula.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of that was just the first category. Maleficent, yeah. All of that was just the first category, name of the main character. You could also, of course, have as a title the name of your location where the story is set.
Yeah, and of course, here too you can be less specific or specific. You could pick the world, the country, the city or village, or even a specific location.
Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim, or like El Dorado, the island of Dr. Moreau, Casablanca, Hacksaw Ridge, Jurassic Park. These were all examples of specific locations, but of course you can have non-specific locations as well, and you can even have a specific and non-specific location, like the room, because Tommy Wiseau insists.
It's not a room; it's the room.
Exactly.
But I really don't know what he means by that, but yeah.
So yeah, it's like it's the room, but
which room?
Yeah, he doesn't say which room. He doesn't say it's the bedroom.
There are several rooms in the movie, and none of them are particularly important to the story. So
must have been the room with the picture of the spoons.
Yeah, must have been that one.
And then you have Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events, which is a very long title. They also often use in the subtitles specific locations like the reptile room. So,
right, yeah, or the Chamber of Secrets. Since we're talking about rooms,
yeah,
panic room. Okay, so we've had name of the main character, name of a location. You could also use the goal of the characters as the title of the story. Like what the thing that they're trying to accomplish or reach.
Yeah, like we've mentioned before, El Dorado is actually, it's the name of a location, but it's also the goal of the story.
Yeah, or Saving Private Ryan, or Finding Nemo. Yeah. That's another one.
Or that game you got, Siberia.
Right, yeah.
Point and
it's a point-and-click adventure. And I when I started it, I thought, okay, so it takes place in Siberia, but actually it ends with the main character going to Siberia. And then the second one takes place in Siberia.
Okay, so that's the goal of the story. And then number 4, objects of importance. There are a lot of examples of that too. The Sword in the Stone, the Golden Compass, the Elder Scrolls.
The Philosopher's Stone, the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter.
I once bought a new edition of the Harry Potter novels, more like the adult edition, not adult in the way they use it these days. But the covers are black, and they all have pictures of items, and I really love them. And they actually put the Philosopher's Stone on the first one, and the Goblet of Fire on the fourth one. So yeah. I really like that.
Did they put the flying car on the second one?
Yeah, I think so.
What I notice is when you do that, it's almost always fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, I love
the Dark Crystal. There are some non-fantasy examples that include the Time Machine, Blood Diamond. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's sort of the object that the story is about.
Yeah.
Or Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
That's kind of fantasy.
Yeah, I think it's a fantasy movie.
It is fantasy.
Okay, category number 5, important in-world events. Like in the Dune series, you have this book, The Butlerian Jihad, which is, about a war that happens.
Yeah, and I haven't mentioned it yet in this episode, The Hunger Games.
Ah, ding, 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 ding. Our first mention of The Hunger Games. We actually did already mention Brandon Sanderson and The Lord of the Rings. So, so I think we've reached our quota for today.
Oh, yeah. Well, we should call it a night then.
No. Oh, yeah, we also mentioned Elder Scrolls, so I think we're done here.
No, we still have number 6, descriptions. You got description of the medium itself, like the Lego movie, Scary Movie, Jungle Book, etc. There must be other examples.
The Playmobil movie.
Yeah, I probably have that too.
No, yeah, it exists. It's
really?
real. Yeah, it exists.
Wow, I love Playmobil. We should watch it. And then you have the situation in the story, or what the story is about. And once again, it can be more or less concrete, like The Old Man in the Sea, Snakes on a Plane, Pixels. Or they can use 2 nouns, or list of nouns, or 2 nouns with N in between, like Dungeons and Dragons, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Or you could go more abstract, more about feelings or characteristics, like the movie Brave.
Yeah, or have it more like a personification, like Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice.
The sensitive one and the sensible one. The proud one and the prejudiced one.
And then when you have nouns, you also have determiners, especially in Pixar movies.
Yeah, it's true. Up, Inside Out, Onwards. These are all Pixar movies.
Yeah, they do like that. They like their determiners.
I'm wondering when In Between is gonna come out, and Down.
Maybe upside down.
Yeah, upside down.
And then you have descriptions of an event, what happens.
Yeah, like Mars attacks. That's what happens in the movie. Mars attacks. Batman returns. Batman returns in that movie. Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith.
So
Return of the King.
With return and revenge.
Yeah, that's a lot of movies.
Yeah, a lot of movies. And then you have 7, the cryptic titles. We already talked a bit about. Often you have to experience the story first or get a PhD in order to understand the title, or it's very poetic. It's supposed to make you curious, though. So if it doesn't make you curious, it's kind of, you kind of miss the mark.
Yeah, like the movie Apocalypto, according to the director Mel Gibson, Apocalypto is a Greek word meaning a new beginning or an unveiling, a revelation. So everything has a beginning and an end, and all civilizations have operated like that. And if you watch the movie, you see that it's about a civilization that comes to an end and the start of a new one. So.
And then there are also very grammatically weird titles, like A Scanner Darkly and Girl Interrupted. Things like that.
Especially with the comma. Girl, comma, interrupted. I've never seen that movie, but I always noticed the title and I thought, what a strange title.
What a story, Mark. Yeah, it has girl and then comma interrupted. It's like they wanted to make a title with girl at the start and then they interrupted it by putting a comma there. And then we tried to come up with some tips and advice as far as you can do that, because there is no playbook about which titles work and which don't, and it's also very
The Silver
personal.
Linings Playbook. That was another movie with a weird title. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's not a playbook in the movie.
It's true. Just Jennifer Lawrence.
That's all I remember.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just based on titles that have worked, and but as we mentioned before, there are some weird titles that just make you curious, and or even bad ones that make you curious. So, yeah, I think in the end it's just more of a gut feeling thing,
and a matter of personal taste. I mean, some people like simple, direct titles. Some people love the word "the," others hate it. Some people like flowery, romantic titles.
Right. So we came up with these tips. The first tip is use more than one word. There are, of course, a number of powerful titles with one word, but the reason is you'll be easier to find amongst, for example, other self-published books if you're self-publishing.
That's a purely practical suggestion. Yeah.
A second one is very important. Google it first.
Yeah. I mean, I do have to say, I think, especially when it comes to fantasy, and fantasy has typical kinds of titles, almost everything you could possibly think of has been done.
Yeah. Stone of the Wizards.
It's been done. Quest of the Night.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Okay,
So unless you wanna take advantage of other writers and pick the same title in the hope that people will accidentally order your book, then it's just a no-go.
You could play around with words like quest, dragon, sword, stone, crown, wizards,
dungeon.
Mix those around and voila.
And then you'll have a very conventional fantasy title, and people will immediately recognize your novel as a fantasy novel. That's true. So a third piece of advice is follow the genre conventions to some extent. You don't have to copy paste a title and then change all the nouns or something. But what we mean by that is don't create false expectations.
Yeah, there's this movie I saw the other day. I didn't see the movie, but I came across the synopsis, and it was called Tyrannosaur.
And the movie is not about a tyrannosaur at all.
What?
It's this British social drama about, an abusive husband and, stuff like that. And I don't know why it's called Tyrannosaur, but there are no dinosaurs in it.
That's too bad. But if it's in the movie theaters, then there will probably be a poster with a depressed wife or something, and then you'll probably notice that it's not about a tyrannosaur. We recently found an article about titles that could have been horror movies but weren't as well. So that was fun. Yeah,
that was fun if you think about it. So some of the movies on the list were Hook, which is about Peter Pan, and it's a children's movie. Home Alone.
Ooh. Could have been scary.
Yeah.
The guy with the golden tooth was actually
the guy scary. With the golden tooth. Yeah. Could be a James Bond movie. There Will Be Blood, of course. And I like this one. While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah, I always thought that was a title that could have been a horror movie.
Yeah.
With Sandy B.
It Could Happen to You.
Yeah. It could happen to you. Exactly. Then 4 is use alliterations, rhyme, or double entendres, so play with words. And we're ourselves obviously fans of alliterations.
Yeah, but we didn't do it really on purpose. It kind of came naturally, like the will of the woods, the beast of the western wilds. We like the letter W too.
Yeah, so it seems. Yeah, and people have also...
and we did it again, the treasure of Boneyard Bay.
Yeah, we did. We kind of love that.
Mm.
And people have also pointed out that we really love woods because there's woods in every story that we create. So
yeah. A double entendre doesn't have to be like some kind of crude sexual joke. It could actually be something with a deeper meaning.
If it were a title, double entendre, then I would go with erotic movie.
But there are more tasteful double entendres, like the movie Cast Away.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually 2 words, cast away.
Yeah, which is weird because a castaway would be 1 word.
A castaway, 1 word, is what he is, someone who is stranded on a desert island, but he's cast away because his wife remarries in his absence. And so he's kind of cast away as well. Or another example, The King's Speech, which is a movie about the king who has to deliver a very important speech, but he has trouble with his speech because he stutters. So it's about the king's, speech, as in the way he speaks, and in the speech he has to deliver.
Then you have Bee Movie, which is a movie that is actually about bees. It's an animation. And we all know about B movies, which are it's kind of implied that they're less good than A movies, I suppose.
Yeah, you never hear that term, A movies.
No. But yeah.
So, moving on from that, with a very nice segue, you have to be original.
Yeah, so be original, and that could mean anything.
So the last tip would be look for inspiration.
So, ask yourself questions. Are there any themes in your story? Can you pick a thematic statement or a synonym? What's the name of your protagonist and what is he or she nicknamed by others? Perhaps maybe a description of the relation, the occupation, or the hobby, the passion of your character. An example would be Origami Girl, for example. Maybe that's a movie that exists. Maybe
is it?
I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't exist yet.
I don't know.
It sounds like a movie.
Well, someone should make it then. You can steal this title, no problem.
Yeah, why not?
And Origami Girl brings us to the topic of
bad titles. Yeah, so now we're gonna talk about bad titles because that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My favorite bad title. I once read an article about bad game titles from video games, and I came across this top of the list worst title of a video game ever. And when I read it, I laughed for hours and hours. I couldn't stop laughing.
I remember that.
Yeah. If I'm gonna mention it now, I'm not gonna laugh anymore because I'm used to it. But
you was in tears.
I was, I just couldn't stop laughing. And it was the video game Irritating Stick. Because, it's this, the typical game, it exists in real life, where you have a stick and you have to sort of move it around through this labyrinth. And if you touch one of the sides, it goes bzzz, It was a video game based on that. But I just thought the name Irritating Stick was hilarious because you have, something that's irritating. That's not exactly something you want to have.
Actually, not an irritating stick.
And a stick is like the most boring possible object. So what kid is going to say to his mom, "Oh, Mom, look, Irritating Stick. I want that game. I don't want, a Dungeon Fighters 3 or something. No, I want Irritating Stick."
Yeah, marketing should, go the other way around. Like the stupid dolls ads that they keep playing on YouTube, right? What was it again?
Yeah, the Beyblades, yeah.
It's just a doll.
Imagine a game called Annoying Cardboard Box. Who wants that?
Yeah. And speaking of bzzzt and other onomatopoeia, there's apparently a movie from 1954 called it's called
So what's the spelling exactly?
PHFFFT.
Okay.
Yeah. That must have been a very hard one to come up with. They were like looking for a good title for hours, and then they were like,
"Yeah, let's just pick that one." What is the movie about?
"Come on, guys, I need a title. I have to write something down. Just say anything."
And they released it like that. The movie. Okay.
Well, that would have been even weirder.
Sounds exciting.
The movie. And then there's this running gag we also we've used a couple of times in our podcast. That's based on this title, actually, a movie from 1984.
Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, that's really one of the most stupid titles ever.
Yeah. And so every time we do something with 2 in it, we call it Electric Boogaloo. Like, Witch Hunter 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I've noticed that most of the worst titles are actually people who try to come up with wordplay, but who fail or who just, should take it down a notch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this one was someone who was proud to know what an acronym was. He called the movie Shud. It's also a movie from 1984.
What? Chud?
Yeah, like CHUD.
Okay.
And apparently it stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller, which would have been a better title, I think, because then you would know what it was about. About a cannibalistic humanoid.
There was also a movie once with the title. Is it in the list? I don't see it. There was once a movie with the title The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies.
No, that's not on the list, but it does qualify.
Yeah, it is actually a real title.
It should. And I think another thing to be careful with is with contractions. They can be very painful. I know all about it.
Yeah, but that's a different kind of contraction.
But this movie title, Blackenstein.
A blaxploitation horror film.
Yeah, with reference to Frankenstein. So they called it Blackenstein.
Yeah.
It's like Sharknado.
Yeah.
Which is probably slightly better because it's about tornadoes which have sharks in them, so I guess it would make sense. But I haven't watched it, so I wouldn't know. Then you have other titles that are pretty stupid, like Drop Dead Fred.
Is it Drop Dead Fred or is it Drop Dead Fred?
There's no comma.
Okay. Okay.
You even have Fart the movie.
That reminds me of the movie Idiocracy, where he goes to the future where everybody's dumb. And in the future, the most popular movie is called Ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, a big butt. And sometimes it farts.
Yeah. Butt would have been a better title because then you have the double entendre.
Yeah.
Another title is No, apparently.
No.
Yeah, just No. I know there's Yes Man, but I don't know whether it's yes.
I know Dr. No.
Yeah. Yeah, but just No. Not just No. Without the just No. And then you have Santa with muscles.
Okay.
I can kind of imagine what it must be about, but... And then The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah. I know what that's about. That's actually a real thing. It's this government program to sort of investigate telekinesis.
So, yeah, that title is kind of descriptive, but it's weird.
Yeah, it's very... But I think it's a comedy, too, so it's supposed... Yeah.
Then you have Riding in Cars with Boys.
Yeah, that's clear what the movie's about.
Yeah, it's descriptive, but it's boring. Then you have Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties. So you have the double entendre here, plus the reference to Dickens.
Tale is spelled T-A-I-L.
Yeah, and then of two kitties, so it references to the tale of two cities, obviously, but it's over the top, isn't it?
It's a kill your darlings kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Another kill your darlings thing is Lucky Number 11. That's, I think, the only movie on the list which I actually watched. No, there's another one. But,
well,
yeah.
Slevin is the main character, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, and his lucky number is 7, I guess.
I don't remember. It was a very forgettable movie. But yeah, I wouldn't have picked the title. And then you have The Hottie and the Naughty.
No.
It does kind of say what kind of movie it will be.
Yeah, the kind I don't want to watch.
And then you have John Carter. You get the name of the hero here, but you're like, who the hell is John Carter? And it doesn't give away that this is actually a fantasy book or science fiction.
It sounds like a cop movie or something. Like John Wick. You know, John Wick is like this action movie, right? With John Carter, it kind of sounds like something similar, but it's actually this big outer space spectacle.
Yeah, so it's way cooler than what it suggests, actually.
But I think they had trouble settling on a title because the book it's based on was called A Princess of Mars, and I thought they thought that was too girly, and like it's a Barbie movie or something. So they wanted something that appeals to the boys.
They kind of had a point. I wouldn't watch Princess of Mars, but I wouldn't watch John Carter either.
I like the movie though.
Yeah, me too.
It's got a great soundtrack.
Then you have things that are kind of too poetic, like Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I never had a problem with that title, although I don't get it, But you can see it's got something to do with time. Mm-hmm. It's a sci-fi movie about a guy who keeps dying and coming back. So
that's why he must be on edge.
Yeah. We mentioned previously that fantasy books, have a tendency to all have the same title almost, with a few words. So there's been this period, or we're still in it, where fantasy authors will often try to come up with these really flowery,
Pretentious.
yeah, titles that just sound pretentious, and it's become ridiculous. And I think the worst offender is Patrick Rothfuss with the slow regard of silent things.
Oh, is it Patrick Rothfuss again? That's the same guy who wrote The Shadow of the Wind, right?
The Name of the Wind.
Yeah.
The Name of the Wind.
Yeah, that's but it is kind of based on The Shadow of the Wind and The Name of the Roses. I always thought it was kind of he picked two titles that he liked and then he made a mashup.
And other books with fantasy books with overly flowery, sort of pretentious titles are like An Echo of Things to Come and The Light of All That Falls. It's from the same series. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like it's a collection of poems and not like it's an epic fantasy, I think.
Yeah. Another movie that kind of struggled with finding a good title was Aloha, which is apparently a movie about a military caught up in a love triangle, if I have understood rightly. But first, they apparently had the title Deep Tiki, and then they had Volcano Romance, and then it just became Aloha. But I think
they should have made it
bad.
I Lava You.
Yeah, but then Pixar would have been angry. So yeah, sometimes it's really hard, I think, coming up with a good title.
So maybe we could...
most of these movies we apparently haven't watched because, for obvious reasons.
I definitely want to see the movie.
I want to see the movie.
Yeah, couldn't that be the same movie, though?
I think it's a sequel to Fart the movie. Okay. So make your titles original if you want people to want to pick up your book or watch your movie. And we have a number of original titles that make you curious. John dies at the end.
There's another one by the same author. This book is full of spiders.
Really? I thought you were going to say this book is full of something else.
Yeah. Well, that's popular too. Titles like that these days. Like The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up.
Yeah. Yogurt. So, so even if a title just messes with all the conventions, it could still work because it makes people curious. So if you really had a crazy idea for a title, just go for it. And things like The Neverending Story, those went down in history. All people know The Neverending Story. And it obviously ends because you can buy it and you can actually hold the book and it's not never ending, but it makes you curious, title like that.
Actually, it's only 2 pages. And on page 2 it says, go back to page 1.
No, it's a story about a story, but still.
I love it. I grew up with it.
It's kind of mysterious, and that's what makes it attractive, I think.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So we had a long episode, and I survived despite the throat issues I've been having lately. And we started this episode with a game, so I thought we could end it with a game too.
Mm-hmm, okay.
So I have actually invented some titles. I'm not sure, maybe they exist somewhere. But I invented some titles, and you have to say which genre it is.
Okay.
So the first title is Dude in the Nude.
It sounds very artistic. It could be about a painter, maybe, or a model, a nude model, but it's a dude. It's obviously a comedy with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, it's an Ashton Kutcher comedy. The second one is That Spark in Her Eyes.
that spark in her eyes. So this is probably about a woman who learns to weld.
I knew you were going to say that. It's so predictable.
Yeah, it's a romantic movie, obviously.
Yeah, it's a romantic movie. I didn't say.
Or it doesn't have to be a romantic movie.
Game.
It could be this sort of uplifting movie about a little girl who has a dream,
Yeah.
And who wants to achieve something.
A family movie.
Yeah,
The official term. Yeah, it could be that. The Screeching Next Door.
Screeching Next Door. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's a horror movie. What else could it be?
I don't know.
Maybe a movie about singing lessons or...
Very bad singing lessons. Yeah. And then 4 is Horn of the Blood Red Unicorn.
That's an epic fantasy.
Yeah, could be, yeah.
See, you can still have a cool original title without having to do weird crap like The Slow Regard of Silent Things. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, and I've just noticed this title doesn't have wizard or a stone or a dungeon or dragon or...
Exactly. Or quest.
A quest. So I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then my final title is Quest for the Hidden Book of Rocks.
Quest for the Hidden Book of Rocks. I don't know. For some reason, I imagine Jack Black is in the movie.
Yeah, could be, yeah.
I think it's like a kid's adventure movie.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. So this was an easy game.
It was fun. And we had fun. We didn't mention what tea we were drinking. It's Be Happy.
With 1 E or 2 E's?
Actually, with 2 E's.
Oh.
So, yeah, we should have mentioned it during the podcast. And I'll tell you what my label says, because it's got wisdom on it again. My label says, love is the ultimate law of life.
And here mine says, you are equally as beautiful as the universe. Okay.
The universe sucks compared to you. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day and all of that? You know?
I think it's time to call it a night.
Okay, it's time to call it a night. We hope you had fun, but we had fun. And we wish you all a very fond farewell. Until next time.
Bye-bye.